Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and so sorry for starting late again. If you guys know me, I usually start a few minutes late uh, every stream. I really apologize for that, but today my mom calls me 5 minutes before the stream starts, and she needs help inflating the tires on her car. So I just came in from outside to from helping her pump up her car tires. I guess they were low and she bought an air pump and she didn't know how to use the air pump. So I had to show her how to set it so it would automatically shut off. And oh my goodness. Anyway, so it's always something, right? I mean, just life happens. But let me go ahead and fix up my chat section here and we'll be good to go. Um, that should do it. Yeah. Oh, I got a new thing here. I'm gonna be reviewing this data color monitor color calibration, and it makes your monitor look good. So it works well. It works well. I had been using an X-Rite, uh, the X-Rite Color Monkey before, and Spider Data Color reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to review this one. And this one is actually better in a lot of ways on the software side. It's not. It's something that I think Color Monkey could do, the X-Rite, but their software doesn't do this. So this one has much better software, I think, and some more functionality. And it is a little more expensive than the Color Monkey, but ultimately, I think if you're using multiple monitors, different laptops, different desktops, or multiple monitors on the same computer, this will do a much better job than the Color Monkey. Uh, but I'll talk about that in a review maybe next week because it's kind of the holidays now, so I don't know if I'm gonna have time to make a video on it. But anyhow, let's see who's here. It's always good to see everybody. Jeff Painter first. Christmas greetings. Yes, hello. And Scott Mumford, Jeff Painter, Ann Eastbury. Wow, that's a new name. Hi, Ann. Welcome to the group. I'm glad to have you here. Merry Christmas. And let's see. Lay Kemp, good to see you. I saw you on. I saw a few of you yesterday on Jimmy's live stream, and I just kind of said hi to Jimmy, and then four or five of you came back and said hi back, and I only said hi back to Lay, I think. I wanted to say hi back to everybody, but I was so tired, and I had the laptop kind of just at arm's length while I was laying down. So if I really wanted to get up and type, and I'd have to get up, and I was just too tired. So hi everybody from yesterday that was in Jimmy's stream. Jimmy's a great live streamer. He does a great job. I like watching his. I don't always get to watch them when they're live like a lot of you, but um, I go back and I watch them later. Like I came in late yesterday. But anyhow, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you, Marsha. I really appreciate that. Marsha just gave me a $10 super chat, which is awesome. That helps out a lot because it's as a starving photographer, professional photographer, and YouTuber, every little bit helps, let me tell you. This is really like a lot of my colleagues, Peter and Jimmy and Robin, Maddie. This is all we do is we do professional photography and our YouTube channel. And as you know, professional work has been a little thin this year, and then YouTube is really just pocket change for most of us. Uh, we really do it for the community and to help people, and any kind of donation, either through coffee or PayPal or Super Chat, uh, is really warms my heart and really helps us to keep going. Even if it's just a little bit, right? It's not how much you give; it's just the act of giving and the thought that counts, right? And that's what I get the most pleasure out of is knowing that you guys are there for me, and I try to be there for you. Let's see who else is here. John You'd say, good to see you. And Marcia, always good. Yep. Oh, Merry Christmas. My goodness. And also, I'm also here as I'm scrolling through is if you have any questions, about photography or Olympus cameras, I do my best to answer them. They are getting harder and harder lately, but I don't know if that's because of my mental decline or if you guys are asking tougher questions, Probably a little bit of both, right? Because my goodness, I started this channel almost 4 years ago exactly. I think it was late December 2016. I actually opened a channel, but I don't know what. It was fairly shortly thereafter, either the first of the year or the end of the year, that I posted my very first video using, I think it was the Pen F. Yeah, I had owned the Pen F just a couple of months at that point. I bought it in September of 2016 as a gift to myself because I didn't need it. It's a purely vanity purchase, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Luxury purchase, right? Because yeah, that's so I paid full pop for it, 11 or 1200 bucks at the time, and it's surprisingly it's holding its value pretty well. After all these years, I could probably sell it right now because I have a silver one, which are harder to find. Um, this one here, I mean, it's in great shape. A couple of scuffs, but I could probably still get 600, 700 bucks for this, which is pretty amazing considering, that the EM1 Mark II is going for like 600 bucks used, which is a by far superior camera technically. And David Crooks, good to see you. And Paul Celeru, Steve G, Roberto. Let's see, Thomas Sizauskas. 12 degrees Celsius. It's going to go to -10. Yeah, we're going to get a cold snap, not today, but tomorrow. So you're a day ahead of us down because you're a little further south, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be cold. And my furnace is acting a little funny. It might be the light sensor, the flame sensor, that's a little bit off because it'll start and then I don't know. I'm gonna clean the flame sensor and see if that fixes the problem. If not, then I have to call somebody to get it done. And it's just I need to replace the entire system because I don't have a central heating and cooling system. I just have an oil furnace in the basement and water heaters, radiators around the house. And as far as AC, I just got a window unit that I use. And it's been sufficient, but it needs to work. And when it starts acting up, I have no hot water, no heat in the house, that would be rough. But only for a few days, right? I got space heaters, electricity. So anyway, we all got problems, right? We don't need to talk about those things. Um, and Petter's here. And let's see. Chuck Eckert, good to see you. And Marco, yes. Hello. And I think that's everyone. Elaine, oh my goodness, Elaine. How are you? I'm glad to see you. You've been coming in a little bit more often lately. You had a little gap there where you had a friend that what? Ellie's here. What is it, baby? Um, she wants to be part of the show. And Elaine says, "Yes, I have a question. How to keep up my photo blog when I can't go out?" Ugh, yeah. There's so many videos from March and April about, stay-at-home type photography, and most of it's like macro stuff, right? Um, so yeah, I kind of miss going out myself. I hardly went out at all this year. If you look at 2019, I have a lot of vlogs, and 29 or 2020 was, there's a handful early on, but not much lately. But um, yeah, the best thing to do indoors, honestly, is, all right, get down, is to practice flash. Get a flash and practice using flash. And then you can really take your photography to the next level. Do self-portraits, do whatchamacallit, um, macro photography is good for flash. Product photography, so maybe take pictures of your jewelry and try and get good at, doing things like that. Because every technique that you learn using flash will apply to everything else you do in flash. So if you're very competent with your flash, you'll be able to start using that in everything you do, photographically speaking. And then you'll understand, what kind of flashes you need. And you don't need anything fancy. Just a simple $30 manual flash is fine. If you want to do off-camera flash, you can get like a $30 radio trigger for off-camera flash. Or you can buy a total solution, right? Godox TT350 with its wireless trigger, and that'll run you closer to 120 bucks altogether instead of 60. But that's a more long-term solution that'll, if you ever get, want to go pro, you can certainly upgrade from there easily. But about a $50 or $60 investment in a generic radio trigger and a manual flash um, is really all you need to learn everything you need to know about flash. So I have a lot of flash videos on my channel, but they're not organized in any way. I should try to organize those or do more flash tutorials because that's definitely the best way to take your photography up to the next level. I mean, I would buy a flash before I buy a lens. You know, if I had to start over again, when you start out, you always buy lenses, right? When you start out, but flash is probably would be a smarter way to start out. Uh, and and it's a lot of fun. And then you can do light painting with flash. You can do live composite because our Olympus cameras are really have a lot of nice features that work well together with flash. So that's what I would do. Um, and let me go back up here. And thank you. Who is that? Oh my goodness. Thank you, Magnus. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you. I really appreciate that. Uh, let's see. And Stephen Page says, have you used a speed boost? I did have a speed booster. I misplaced it. It's got to be in the house somewhere. But for the life of me, I can't find it. Speed boosters, I think, are very niche in the sense that if you really enjoy adapting vintage glass, like some old, you know, Nikon glass, 50 millimeter or 35 millimeter, it'll bring it down to a little bit wider focal length that's more suitable for micro four thirds, and it'll increase the light by one stop. And you have to really kind of enjoy vintage glass and all the defects and character that vintage glass brings with it. And I think for that kind of use case, uh, it's awesome, you know. For and then another good use case for speed boosters is being able to get telephoto type lenses for cheap, right? Because you can buy like a 200 millimeter f4 Nikon for about $100, and you have a speed booster on it. You now have it knocks it down to I think 100, about 106. Let me just do the math. I don't want to misquote it. 200 times 0.76. So it makes it 152 millimeter, which f2.8, right? 150 millimeter f2.8 with a speed booster for $100. And you have to set your image stabilization and everything, but I've done a few shots like that, and that's pretty amazing. Because 152 millimeters is a 304 millimeter equivalent on full frame. So you have a 300 millimeter f2.8 on your micro four thirds for like $100. So there's a couple of use cases where speed boosters, can really be very interesting. On the other hand, I don't use mine much because I can find an autofocus micro four thirds lens equivalent, and I don't really need the speed booster anymore. So for example, hold on, let me let her out. You want to go out? Or are you hungry? Or you want a treat? What is it? You want a treat? All right. Give me a second. Come on. Sorry. She's the boss. She's so pushy. She'll just jump on me until I give her what she wants. And then I give in, and of course, you know, that's how she trains me. Anyhow, I was talking about speed boosters. So, like I have a 75 millimeter f1.8 autofocus lens. It's like $600-700. It's an expensive lens. But I could put a speed boost. This is a $100 vintage lens, a Nikon 105, 105 millimeter f2.5. So if I do the math here, so 105 times 0.726. So this works out to 76 millimeters with a speed booster, and it would be like an f1 point half, like half would be what, 1.7? No, 2.5 divided by, so it'd be like a 1.4, give or take, right? In aperture. So again, it's a very cheap way to get kind of a telephoto lens that's fast, but if you have the money, you can buy a micro four thirds equivalent lens and have autofocus and be lightweight, because this is heavy, right? My God, this thing weighs, I don't know, a couple hundred grams at least. I'm curious, let me get my scale. And this is without the speed booster. Wow, 428 grams, and then the speed booster is another couple hundred. So we're talking like 600 grams for this, and the 75 millimeter lens is only about 300 grams. So it's half the weight and the equivalent focal length, more or less. And I can go up and down the focal range in the micro four thirds lens lineup and find an equivalent autofocus micro four thirds lens versus doing it with a speed booster. So that's why I don't use it that much anymore, because I've kind of filled out my lens selection with micro four thirds autofocus glass. What is she howling about? Hold on. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she's losing her mind. Wow. That girl. She's in the house. I have all the windows closed and curtains closed, but she can hear the FedEx driver. She can hear that truck. She only barks at FedEx and UPS trucks. Nothing else that drives by. That's that's what it was. I do have a delivery that was supposed to have come in a couple days ago, but it's running late, so maybe that's what's coming in. Anyway, that's that's a long story on speed boosters. A lens baby or something. Yeah, that's another thing you can practice is what they call lens whacking, right? Where you don't attach the lens to the camera. You just kind of pull it off a little bit and just tilt the lens around. and you can get some weird effects similar to the Lens Baby. So if you do a search on YouTube for lens whacking, you can get some great ideas there. And it doesn't have to be a vintage glass. You could use any glass. Vintage glass works a little better because it has a bigger image circle for lens whacking, but you could use regular, micro four thirds lenses. Let's see. Good morning, Randy. How are you? I'm so behind again. Marco Wolftick, good morning. Adam Favor, good to see you. Merry Christmas. And Stephen Page. Oh, hey Rick, how are you? And then Rick is letting everyone know that we've been having offline discussion about whether we should collect the best of his YouTube how-to videos on DVD. Would you buy robtrek? That's a good question, actually. If I were to organize or redo some of the videos I've done and organize them in a logical sense onto a DVD, maybe accompany that with a pamphlet, and I don't know, would you guys be interested in buying something like that? I don't know what it would cost to actually make and distribute something like that, but I know Fro used to do DVDs for like 60, 70 bucks, which that seems kind of high to me. I would probably do less, but I can't imagine cost on those. Cost on my side would be probably $10, $15 a DVD. So I'd have to double, triple that to make it profitable. But I don't know, just in general, without thinking about the price, right? We'll let the market dictate what the price will be if I figure that out. But would you be interested? Maybe I'll put a poll up in my on my community tab and see what you guys think, because it would be hard to count them off here in the chat section. But Ann said you would buy one. That's awesome. And let's see. Elaine says, I hate flash photography. I'm trying to decide between macro lens and Lens Baby. Oh, I would get a macro lens, because the Lens Babies are usually really wide focal length or tight telephotos. Like they have a 50 millimeter Lens Baby. That's tough to work with for the kind of effects you want to get. Unless you're outdoors doing portraits with some distance. They may have smaller ones, 35 millimeter, which I would recommend just get as wide as you can if you're going to get a Lens Baby, because they're usually I haven't looked at Lens Babies in a long time, but. And Bob is here, Bob Tishmarsh, good to see you. And Darko, hey Rob, best of season to you. Yeah, happy holidays to you too, Darko. And 115 meg TIFF for editing today. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't even look at the file size. Yeah, I had to convert it to TIFF, but I didn't realize it was so large. Man, sorry about that. I do, for people that don't know, I do a photo editing live stream. And I edit yours, and then I put mine out. You guys edit mine, that kind of thing. And Peter says, I got the Godox flash on your recommendation. It's one of those things that, if all else, yeah, it is. Yeah, the Godox TT350 is a great flash. I used it professionally and personally for years. And then I upgraded to the V1 just about a week, this month I upgraded to a little bit larger flash head for my pro work, but for my personal work, from now on, that's going to be the flash I use. And it says, the Godox flash is my go-to photography fix when you can't go outside. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an indoor flash. Outdoors, it works great if you have the flash close up to the subject for like doing flowers and things, or macro. It's a little bit weak to do portrait work and things outdoors. If it's a full bright day, if it's cloudy out, you're fine. Darko, your cat's bugging you. Yeah. I just put her out on the porch where she can just go nuts with the FedEx and UPS guys. Because, you know, I live on a major street, so they're constantly back and forth up my street, along with ambulances and fire trucks and police cars. So she likes to howl whenever ambulance goes by or fire truck. And Herzl's asking, is it worth getting the Sigma 56 if you own the 4518? Um, that's a tough call. The 4518 is pretty awesome lens, and the only thing I think the 56 will give you is, that little tighter focal length and faster aperture, because I think that's an f1.4, isn't it? Let me just double check. Sigma. Yeah, it's an f1.4. So it'll give you another, I think, 2/3 or half a stop roughly of light. Um, so it's just a little bit longer, a little bit faster, right? And if the photos you're taking now are just off a little bit, maybe. If you're using flash with your photography, then yeah, I wouldn't waste any money on that lens. I'd buy a flash instead of that lens if you're not using flash. Uh, I mean, it's kind of a nice to have. I wouldn't say it's a replacement for the 45. The 45 will still have its place. So, and that's generally true of all prime lenses. It's not like you buy this prime lens to replace this prime lens. It's usually because I need this prime lens for this and I need this prime lens for this. It's I just can't think of too many scenarios where one would replace the other, right? So you have to look at what does the 56 offer over the 45, and it's roughly half a stop of light, and it's a little bit more telephoto. So if you need that, you're going to use that. I don't know if you would use that in place of the 45, because the 45, lets you get in a little closer, and the bokeh's fine at 1.4, 1.8 is pretty much the same. No, that's the least of the difference between the two lenses. Really, the biggest difference is that half stop of light and the slight telephoto effect. The pictures I've seen from it have been pretty awesome. I mean, tack sharp. I would argue that they are sharper than the 45 millimeter, and of course, it is a slightly heavier lens and all of that, but um, it's selling for around 400 to 450, right? So what I would do, I would say sell your 45 if you want the Sigma. I don't see a point to own both at the same time, unless you know you need both. I know that makes no sense, right? But usually when you buy a prime, it's because you need it. You know you need it for something very specific. There's wider lenses like the 17 millimeter, which are more general purpose, um, and you work very differently. But when you start getting into this portrait telephoto range in primes, you need it for a very specific thing. They're a little bit more niche in that sense. The 45, 56, those are going to be portrait lenses, generally speaking. So my advice is, if you don't have a flash, buy a flash instead of that lens. If you want to buy that lens, sell your 45. Um, I think that would be my recommendation. But I don't think photographically speaking, you gain a whole lot between the two. Um, Also upgrading, Herzl says, also upgrading from the 7 Artisan 62.8 to either 60 Olympus or 50. Uh, okay. The 7 Artisan 60 2.8. Let me let me see what that is. That is a manual focus lens, it looks like. Yeah, I definitely upgrade to an autofocus, no question. Because you can get the 60 macro from Olympus for about 300 bucks, right? Give or take. I've seen better, I've seen higher, but 300 bucks plus or minus 50 from there. And I think you're in much better shape there than using the 7 Artisans. Strictly for the autofocus alone. Strictly for that. Um, DVDs should play on a PC. Yeah, they need to be region free, obviously. And they would be because I'm not making a movie, right? And Elaine asks, what's the best macro lens? Yeah, the 60 millimeter Olympus macro is the best by far. Forget about the 30 millimeter. It's sharp and it's more useful for general photography and it does macro, but I feel like it's not a dedicated macro lens. It doesn't give you enough working distance because you have to get about this close to the subject to get the one-to-one macro. Whereas the 60 millimeter, you can get about this close and it gives you a little room to put flash in. And I know you don't like flash, Elaine, but you should do flash. Seriously. Um, and Stephen Page says speed boosters focus easy in manual mode. So if you like to use full manual, these will save you loads of money and still get great shots. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the main things about speed boosters. If you like longer glass, telephoto type glass, speed boosters get you in very cheap. You know, like I was talking about, the 200 millimeter f4 is only 100 bucks, right? And it's a fantastic lens. My 105 millimeter Nikon f2.5, fantastic lens. This is the one I think people say Steve McCurry used to take that Afghan girl picture. He used this lens. Uh, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I've heard. Um, and Darko says the Helios 44 58 millimeter. Yes, that's a cool lens. Gives a nice swirly bokeh effect and lots of character. And it's not too expensive. I've seen them anywhere from $30 to $50. And then it's a screw mount, I think, so you have to adapt it. But it's very long, right? You're going to be at a 116 millimeter equivalent on a micro four thirds. But it's okay. It's a fun lens. And let's see, I heard good things about the Viltrox speed booster and Canon lenses. Yeah, I think that's the one I had. It was a Viltrox. Um, like I said, when you buy things like that, the speed boosters, uh, the Metabones are like 500 bucks, and you're pretty much guaranteed tack sharp, great quality. With the Viltroxes, when they first came out, like one of the early ones that I got, uh, the reviews were all over the place. It added a little purple fringing, or it added a little. It was a little bit softer than using the lens straight. Um, so there's all I'm saying is it'll be sharp enough or good enough, but it may not be as good as say the Metabones, right? And in a blind test, could anybody tell a difference? Probably not, but there are reviews out there where they pixel peep and show some of the defects of the lower end type speed boosters. And but you're not buying the speed booster, I would assume, to get the very best image quality. You're buying it for all the other benefits of adapting vintage glass and taking advantage of the character of the vintage glass and the extra light that, you get a full stop of light from a speed booster. So there's a lot of benefits that outweigh the minor, I think, defects that might come with it in terms of sharpness or purple fringing, things like that, which are very minor. Uh, Even on the one that I had, I thought it was pretty good. I used it a few times with my 50 millimeter f1.4 Nikon, so it gave me a 35 millimeter f1 equivalent. So yeah, that was tough to focus, man. Well, it wasn't hard to focus, but it was hard to get anything in focus because like you get like one little thing in focus and everything else was blown out. So I had to stop the lens down anyway. But But yeah, I mean, I think the speed boosters are like the generic ones are like 100 to 150 now. They're not super expensive. And then you can buy all kinds of vintage glass and have some fun with it, right? Um, yes, online course is easier to monetize because you look at what a lot of the other YouTubers are doing is they have digital books and they have hardcover books, not hardcover, but they have physical books and uh, like I said, yeah, they sell online courses, digital courses, and books, right? And DVDs. I don't know how popular DVDs are still. Um, I mean, I assume most people still have one, but as a format or a medium for distribution, I'm not sure how popular it is versus if somebody were just to would rather just have an online digital copy, right? That they can just play anytime on their computer, like a .mp4 file. Um, yeah, yeah, Marco, bundling some benefits to the package, right? Like some individual tutoring or mentoring, whatever add-ons I can do that would add value to the product beyond just being a DVD or digital course. I thought about a couple of things like that too. Nature, hello. Yeah, I was late myself. It's okay. As you know, I was late. This time it wasn't really my fault though. Oh, you finally got your new drive? I think you were talking about a Dromo or Drobo or something. I forget what it was. I don't get too complicated with my backup. I just buy an external drive and use the Windows backup auto backup feature. My challenge is technically I don't have any off-site backup. So if my house burns down, almost everything is gone except what I've uploaded to Flickr maybe. But it's fine. I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen, to all my photos if I go, you know. I guess I don't know what to do with them, because I don't have anybody to leave them to except maybe my nephews or my sister. And I don't know if they would care to look at them. And thought it was high res shot at first. Oh no, it's just I didn't convert it well. I should have converted it as an 8-bit TIFF. Come to think of it, that would have been enough. 16 bits a little bit overkill. And David says I was hoping Olympus would have released 100 macro by now. I guess we'll have to settle for the 60. Yeah, and that's not a bad thing to settle with. The 60 macro is pretty awesome. I mean, the 100 millimeter macro, that's going to be expensive. So, and John Yusei says many or perhaps most new laptops don't have optical drives and more anymore to play DVDs. Yeah, that's true. They stop they stop really including DVDs. I had to buy an external DVD for my laptop. Haven't used it yet, but I did buy one just because I do have a lot of things on DVD, but I don't I don't use them. Everything is online. Oh, nature, you caught a kingfisher with your 300? That's pretty cool. I'd love to see that. Send it in for the photo editing stream. And Darko says, I've been using the 14 millimeter 2.8 Panasonic for street. What do you think of that lens for street? I think it's awesome. Um, you know, it's certainly it's very it's a pancake lens, right? So it's very compact, um, lightweight, just makes street shooting a joy to use. And um, by all accounts, it's as sharp as the 20 millimeter f1.7 that Panasonic makes also. I've heard a lot of people say they sold their 20 millimeter after getting the 14 because they like the 14 so much better for its sharpness and angle of view. Because 20 can be a little bit tight sometimes for street, but 14 is a very common street shooter type focal length. So I think it's a great lens. You know, you add on that it's pretty fast at 2.8 and it's a pancake. Um, it really makes for a great street lens. Lay, you want the 10 millimeter Laowa? It was pretty nice. I watched the videos from Jimmy and Peter on that one. Um, Manual focus, 10 millimeter. But I have a 7 to 14, so I don't really need that lens. Um, Personally, I would instead of the Laowa, I'd rather have the 9 to 18 from Olympus, um, just for more versatility. And it's no bigger than the Laowa, really. I know it's a slower lens by at least a full stop. I think the Laowa is a 2.8 or something, or it's an f2. I forget. Laowa 10. It's an f2. So yeah, that's what? What? I never looked at the pricing on this. Let's look at this. Is that right? Oh, that's a 12. That's a 17. Where is $400? No, wait. What the hell? Do they not have it? How can that be? Allow a 10 millimeter. There's a 10 to 18. Oh, I don't see it like generally available yet. I guess it still needs to come out. Huh. But if I remember, it was like a couple $100. I thought. I can't remember now. Let's see, VLC media player. Yep, I use that. Let me see. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone's question. Did you ever use the Olympus ED25 1.2? Oh, hi, Giuseppe. No, I have not. I have the 1.8. It's good enough. You know, for me, I don't have any need for pro primes like the f1.2s. The 1.8s are way cheaper and I don't need weather sealing. I don't need that tiny bit of extra light with the primes. 1.8 is more than enough for me. I know Jimmy and I think mainly Jimmy uses the 17, 25. He has all the pro lens primes, the 45. Um, Man, I'm totally fine with the regular ones. And yeah, pay per download, right, Marco? Yeah, it could be. What I'd have to do is maybe, eh, I'll give it some thought in next year, 2021. Um, because every now and then, Rick will email me with ideas to monetize, the my content a little bit, and I've never been super motivated by money, right? Um, not in the last 10 or 15 years has money been really played any factor in me doing anything, you know. Um, I decided some time ago, I had this epiphany, which I don't know if I talked about before, but I just decided I'm not going to do anything that's not fun or rewarding in some way to me personally. And if the money follows, great. If not, that's great too, because I'm not doing it for the money necessarily. We all got to survive and stuff like that, but I'm in a position where I'm not married and no kids, and other than my dog, I don't really have any obligations. So it's a little easier for me to make those kind of life decisions, right? But yeah, yeah, I like to make money, but it's not the main driving force. I enjoy photography. I enjoy helping people. So you put the two together, and here we are with the live stream and all the tutorials I do online. And it's never been about money, so to speak. Although I do always appreciate it, any donations and things like that. It's just doing things that I enjoy, and those are the two things I enjoy, right? Photography and helping people. Um, so, like I said, if the money follows, great. If not, it's okay. I'm having a good time. It's rewarding, and I do the best I can, and that's all. That's all I need out of life, really. Um, I'm starting to sound like Casey again at Camera Conspiracy. It's in your heart, right? It's all here. I love it when he does that. Like he'll just be doing this like this routine, and then the music changes and he stops and he goes, he points to his heart. I love that guy. His channel is awesome. It's very entertaining. He makes me laugh all the time. If you haven't seen Camera Conspiracies, you might I think you'll enjoy it as much as I do. It's because it's camera related and the guy is hilarious. Um, and time to time he has some useful technical information, but he'll be the first one to tell you he's not the one to go to for technical information, right? Um, he does most of those things just for fun, and I envy him for that because he has a much better sense of humor than I do, and he's smarter in a lot of ways, much smarter than I am. So that's why I enjoy his channel. Yeah, Rick says I've produced a lot of online training material. What amazed me is how often people request a DVD version despite being free over the internet, so they have something physical to own. There is something to owning something physical and tangible that you can hold in your hands, right? And it's the same in photography, right? A lot of us like to see the prints and go through an album, a photo album, and look at the prints rather than just thumbing through on a tablet, right? Um, it's much more engaging somehow, right? I mean, looking at things on a tablet is okay, but that feels very, where's my vocabulary? It's not the same as going through a photo album and looking at the same pictures. It's much more rewarding or more enjoyable, I think. And having a DVD, having a physical disc versus turning on your computer and playing something online on YouTube is different experience as well, right? Because you hook that up to your television, you plug it in, you sit down, and you're ready to work, right? Whereas online, you're on your computer or laptop, it's very distracting. I mean, you can watch a YouTube video and then a commercial comes on, and you're like, okay, click next, whatever, right? Skip, skip, skip. Or, you'll see on the sidebar other videos that are kind of interesting, so you get bored with this one after a couple of minutes and you go to the next one. So doing things online is very different than having a physical DVD and a whole separate delivery system, right? Where you sit down in front of a television and your intent is to watch this all the way through because it's rare. It's extremely rare. If I put a movie in that's on a DVD or Blu-ray, that I don't sit through the whole thing and watch it, right? Because I have the intent. But if I'm channel flipping, you know, on my Apple TV or whatever, or Roku, whatever device you use on a smart TV, I can easily watch like 5, 10 minutes of movies, skip over, start watching something else, and I'm all over the place, right? Or I'm binge watching one show. And when that's done, I'll binge watch another show. It's very different than, so I think a DVD format is much more conducive to learning because the person that bought the DVD is going to play it with the intent to sit down and start learning, right? So I think there's a lot of advantages there and it's more productive, but I think as a in ter- sorry, I heard something. But in terms of monetization and making money, DVD format, is it still a viable technology or distribution system, so to speak, as is online, right? Um, so I think offering both an online version and a DVD version, and then combining that with like what I forget who it was saying, combining that with some some sort of add-on value add-on, like 1 hour of video, 1 hour of Zoom call, or mentoring or something. So we'll see. The 1 hour thing would be tough though if it's a big hit. I might get thousands of hours racked up that I'll never catch up on. So it's going to take some time and thought to see what makes the most sense. And DVDs could be transferred to SD card, yes. Yeah, like I said, distribution is different. There's all different ways to do the same thing. Ultimately, it's what are people going to get the most use out of. And DVDs have sort of that. I think DVDs are the most useful or the best format for learning of all the choices we've talked about. And Darko's asking, is the 60mm a good portrait lens? Yes, absolutely. Jimmy Chang over there on Red 35 Photography has a video on the 60 macro where he's using it for portrait work. So definitely check out Jimmy's channel for that video. The Kodaks, any one that you said was not bright, Elaine, any generic flash. It's like, but the Godox TT350 is a good place to start. I know it's like an $85 flash. It's a little bit expensive, but it's definitely worth every penny. But there are manual flashes that you can buy for 30, 35 bucks. Godox has a $35 flash with trigger that can get you started. Come to think of it. Hold on. Let me find that. I mean, it's not compatible with all their X series, higher end flashes, but let me see. Godox. I think it was a Godox 170. Godox Flash. I can't remember the name of it. But it was a manual Godox. I'm going to try one more time before I give up. Manual flash. Because you have to have a trigger if you're going to buy a flash. Here it is. No, dang it. Ugh, I can't find it, Elaine. I'm sorry. Let me just, all right, forget Godox. Manual flash. Sorry. I'm not going anywhere. Hold on. Here's some for 75. I don't know why it's so hard to find. All right, I'm going to show you one. I'm going to show you this one. Where's my wish list? This one. This one is $80, but it comes with the trigger. This one. I was thinking about this one for myself because it's very compact. Hold on, you can't see that. Hold on. Why? Stop it. This one here, the Light Pix Q, it comes with its own radio trigger, and the radio trigger is tiny. You can see it here on the bottom. Yeah, this thing. So you put that on your camera, it's very tiny, and the flash itself is very tiny, and it's full manual. This is a cool little flash. Now, it's not upgradable. It's not like you're going to start adding a bunch of, different types of flashes off this. But if you're just an enthusiast or beginner in flash, this is not a bad way to go. If this is all you're ever going to do is just use one little tiny flash. And for, I would say probably 80–90% of you, probably this is more than enough, right? Although I prefer the Godox flashes because they're upgradable. You can start adding on more lights if you decide to. This one won't give you that option, but it is more compact overall than the Godox system. So let me put a link to that. Here's a link to that flash. Yeah, this is really good. I like this. And it's full manual. It's a great flash to practice with because you can use it on camera because it's so small with the trigger or off camera. This is not a bad choice. I'm still thinking about buying this for myself. Rob isn't motivated by money. That could explain why he doesn't got any. That's true. Darko says you're the staff that work for your cat. You're married. That's true. Okay, I'm gonna try. I was at like 10:45 on the chat, so I'm gonna try and catch up here. Gotta go. Okay, Lay. Time for your painkillers. Oh my God, I know. I got a herniated disc in my neck. It's just very minor right now. I can manage it with some ibuprofen, but I'm gonna have to start doing some exercises and things to get that back into place because this can progress very quickly to a, hardcore need surgery type problem. So I gotta remember to sit up straight, all that good stuff. Yeah, painkillers. Oh my God. Yeah, I need to. My ibuprofen's wearing off actually. I need to get some more soon. Get cheap thumb drives, mark them up a bit, and send out the drive with your vids. That's an idea. I've seen people do that. And Ann says, I'm inexperienced compared to you guys. Yeah, we're all inexperienced, really. It's all relative, I suppose, but photography is a lifelong learning experience, right? And Giuseppe says, Windows backup. Yeah, Windows has an automatic backup feature built in. Does great. And Nature says, Rick Bear, just been trying out the M1X with the 300 lens and the 1.4 teleconverter with birds in flight using the tracking firmware. Works well. Awesome. Good news. Rod Meta, oh my goodness, Merry Christmas. Hitting the hay now. Yeah, it's always late for you when I start. I know, sorry. And Des is here. Hi, Des. Um, I just answered something for you on one of the videos, one of the video comments. I can't remember what it was now. But Des has been a long-time viewer, I think. I've never seen you in the live streams, though, so that's awesome that you're here. And Thomas says, for flash, I'm still using the EM10 III optical flash with a used SB26 from one of your older vids. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, Elaine. I think you have an EM10, right? So you have the pop-up flash. With that, you can use an optical trigger on a vintage flash like a Nikon SB26. Don't use the SB26 on your camera, but you can use it off camera. And an SB26 is about $50 still. But you can buy ones with a broken hot shoe. They still work, but the hot shoe's broken. You probably pay 25, 30 bucks for one of those because you don't care about the hot shoe. You're going to use it off camera anyway with the flash. And I have some videos showing you how to use the optical trigger on the flash. And Nature says, issues with recent external drives, so now changed to TerraMaster hard drive. Thunderbolt 3 enclosure with Apple adapter to my Thunderbolt 2, working great. Man, that's a heck of a setup. That Thunderbolt is awesome. I bought an AMD machine, so I don't got Thunderbolt. Eventually AMDs will have Thunderbolt, but it's a licensed technology from Intel. But supposedly it'll give you like 40 megabits or whatever the speed is. It's like 4 times faster than what I have. But what I have is already like, 7 or 8 times faster than my NVMe drive and 20 times faster than most SSDs and 100 times faster than mechanical drives. So what I have is good enough, but it's not a Thunderbolt where like you're doing, where you're going to have a RAID setup probably with multiple drives stacked and all that stuff. That's when that comes in handy. And let's see, Darko says 9mm fisheye lens cap lens, 125 bucks. You can't not go wrong. F8. Yeah, that's a great little lens. That's a great little lens. I paid 99 for mine, but it's worth it. It's a good lens. And I broke it, but where is it? Yeah, it's around here. Is this it? I can't know. But it's no bigger than an actual lens cap. uh, and takes great pictures. Oh, 8 p.m. is Magrat's anniversary. Well, happy anniversary, Rick. You and Magrat. That's awesome. And let's see. I really need to catch up. I'm 20 minutes behind. I think the 10mm is in the 300 range. Yeah, we were talking about that a while ago. Um, I bought the Panasonic for video, however, became fascinated with street photography. Oh, that's not a great video lens, especially on an Olympus camera. But it is a great street camera, or street lens, the 14mm f2.8. That's what I think. That's what you're talking about, right, Steve? You bought the Panasonic. I think you're talking about the lens, the 14mm f2.8 lens. Unless you're talking about like the GX85, that's a great street camera too. And the way I look at it is get one lens and learn how to use it to its best capabilities before blaming the lens on its shortcomings. Kit lens is a good place to start for most beginners. I agree 100%. I'm a huge kit lens fan, you know. Kit lenses rock. It's, you know, having low light capability with the primes is great too, but you can get by with a kit lens for a lot of photography. I even use it professionally. I mean, the kit lenses, yeah, I just, you don't always need a prime or fast, expensive glass. And now Casey has the kid. Casey got a kitten? Really? I haven't watched his last 4 or 5 videos. Feels like he's coming out with them every day now. Um, Steve H says, like Pentax, you see it with your eyes and you feel it with your heart. Yeah. And Darko says tactile. Yes, tactile is a good word when we were talking about having something physical to hold. And then Errol's asking, Rob, did you ever do any QTVR for your real estate? No, I have not. I don't even know what that is. Let me look that up real quick. QuickTime virtual real estate. No. QTVR is a format, I'm looking at this page, format designed by Apple for displaying spherical panoramic pictures. Yeah, I'm not a big Apple fan to begin with. But no, I haven't done because you know I'll quote them a 360 price and they're like you know they don't want to do it. Um, they ask me about it all the time, or they were for a while. And then when I told them, you know, I want a couple $100 at least to do it, and they're like, nah, it's okay, Rob. Just take some pictures. Your pictures are fine. You know, I don't, I suppose for more high-end type properties and residential, it might be um, more demand for it. But I don't get too many high-end residential properties. In fact, I've got none. I've never done a high-end luxury property. I mean, I've done very expensive commercial properties, multi-million, you know, many multi-million dollar properties, but they don't care about 360, you know, because a lot of times commercial properties, you know, whoever's buying it is going to refit it, you know, to their own specs anyway. They don't care what it looks like now. Uh, all they care about is the square footage and the amenities in the building, if any, and that's it. And then when they move in, they usually gut the place and make it their own with commercials. So 360 is not as big a deal in commercial, at least for the business I've been getting. And in residential, you know, the properties I get are fairly low end, condos, townhouses. Um, I don't think I've ever done a single family residential actually. And the agents just don't want to pay for 360 in those cases. And Nature says, I do everything on computer now. Easier to send to friends, trying to get rid of all the physical items I've accumulated. Yeah, I know. Trust me, I'm looking at my whole rows of DVDs and box sets that I have. And, you know, half of them are on Netflix or Amazon at any given moment. So I almost don't need them, right? But like I was saying before, if I put a DVD in the player and sit down and watch, I usually sit down for the whole thing and watch it and enjoy it versus, you know, just going through Amazon or Netflix or whatever. You know, I might just stop it and do something else or start watching something else. But I get it. I get about decluttering and downsizing. I think about it all the time. You're welcome, Giuseppe. Merry Christmas. And John Yutse says, I can't believe you have Apple TV. Roku, I believe, but not Apple. Nothing. Yeah, I didn't buy the Apple TV. I hate Apple. a lot of you know the story, so I won't go into it again. But the Apple TV was my dad's because my sister and her family love Apple, so they bought my dad the Apple TV, and unfortunately he passed away last year, so I took it, you know, because I didn't have. What was I doing before I had the Apple TV? I think I just had my laptop or something hooked up to the TV and a wireless keyboard. Um, I didn't use Roku. I didn't have a smart TV. I had actually I don't think I even watched TV. I watched everything on my laptop before then. I didn't really watch much. I can't remember now. But I have one little 40-inch LCD TV which I didn't buy either. My uncle passed away 2 years ago. It was his. And I think when my dad passed away, I decided to use the Apple TV with that LCD TV. And now I have a TV in my living room. But for 10 years before that, I watched everything on my laptop. I didn't really have a real TV to watch stuff on. I mean, I do have, well, let's not get into my history of television. I've spent a lot of money on TVs, but I never used them. I need to throw them out. Um, but yeah, John, that's how I got the Apple TV was from inheritance. It was inherited to me. And Peter Brake says, I usually set my M Mark II to auto. Sometimes the exit data tells me ISO was set at 100 in the camera. Why isn't ISO 100 available as a setting? Um, yeah, I don't know why, but if you set your camera to ISO low, because you have ISO 200, then it goes to ISO low, that is 9 times out of 10 going to be ISO 100. But sometimes the camera picks a little bit higher, like 160. But I found about 90% of the time, it does use ISO 100 when you pick ISO low on EM10 Mark II. Um, so why they don't just list it as ISO 100 but call it ISO low is, I don't know why. I don't know why they don't do it. It's like Nikon. They do the same thing. They call it ISO high instead of saying ISO 25,000. Um, they're the they're technically okay. ISO technically there's only one ISO on a camera, but and that's the base ISO. It's ISO 200 on most Micro Four Thirds. It's ISO 100 on most full frames and other cameras. Um, and then going above or below that is an extended ISO of some kind. So they might so instead of saying ISO 60, they'll say ISO low, right? Just to let you know that you're going away from the base ISO. Now, you will see ISO, 400, 800, 1600, all the way up to usually 6400 or 25,000 are selectable. But on some cameras, it'll say, instead of giving you the ISO number, it'll say ISO high 1, ISO high 2, uh, telling you that you're outside of the range of what the manufacturer thinks is acceptable image quality. Um, So these ranges, when you look at specs on a camera, you'll see like the ISO range is from 200 to 6400, but it can be extended to 25,000. When in reality, they should say ISO 200 and you can extend it to ISO 25,000 because anything over 200 is an extended ISO. It's digitally uh, uh, it's not really a higher ISO, it's just digitally accomplished, right? Through software in the camera, anything over ISO 200 or below 200. But the reason they say between 200 and 6400 is because that is the range that the manufacturer has decided is an acceptable level of noise in their camera. So they'll say, yeah, our ISO range is 200 to 6400, but if you go beyond that, it's going to be unacceptable. It's extended. When the truth is everything's extended either high or low over the base ISO. And then also please explain when I should use low ISO. Really only if you need a slower shutter speed. You know, it'll give you one more stop. And it can make all the difference for long exposure type photography. So you can do a 2-second exposure at ISO 200, but you can do a 4-second exposure at ISO low. So that extra couple of seconds can make a big difference if you're doing long exposure photography. I don't see any need to use it for normal photography. You only really need it when you want to use it in long exposure and you want longer exposures. Just be aware that ISO low is going to clip the highlights a little bit because it's bringing the exposure down. But that's when you would use it. The Godox 860 ID is awesome, but not the cheapest, but cheaper than Nikon or Canon. Yes. Godox makes a huge range of flashes. And then believe it or not, sensors always shoot. Oh, Rick is saying the same thing here. Believe it or not, your sensor is always shooting at ISO 200. The other ISOs are just tricky within the software. Yeah, so I tried to explain that, Rick. I hope that made sense. And 10-minute, oh my God, 10-minute alert. It's already 11:30. So Robin is here. Oh my goodness, Robin, how are you? Man, I'm I'm gonna run a little bit late. Oh, and I'm getting a call. So I'm sorry, guys. I have to run. Thanks for being here today. Um, I really appreciate you taking your time. You have a Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Have a very, very Merry Christmas tomorrow. And thanks for being with me. Again, I appreciate you taking time out of your day, especially near the holidays. I will be back on Sunday, very likely, but you'll see a posting on my page. So thanks again, and we'll catch you guys next time.